Welcome to Athletes to Entrepreneurs, the Alumni Journey. I'm Rob Finkelstein, founder of Alumni Direct, and we've developed a platform, a premier platform for alumni worldwide. And what we try to do is spark connections to the affinity relationships. And we've looked to create different types of shows, and we're real excited about this show as we've created this to have athletes who've gone through their careers and have ultimately become entrepreneurs or different types of businesses, but show athletes, teach them, kind of inspire them that there is life after athletics and when they're done with that. So today we're really excited. We have Dominik Senn on with us. I'm excited to hear the stories. I've talked a little bit to Dominik ahead of time here, and Dominik is welcome to the show, Dominik.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome
to be here.
It's a nice late night. We're all excited for this one. So Dominik, he's a former professional skier. He was a European downhill champion. And now as he's gravitated, once he finished his career, he started a career in sports management, kind of helping his career, but also helping to shape other careers as well. And he also is working on a huge project, which we'll hear more about later, Panther National, the state-of-the-art golf community in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. So just Dominik, like I said, fun questions here. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, tell me about, going through sports growing up, like take me through the journey of when you started, skiing as a youngster and all the way through ultimately into school.
Actually, I started as a 3-year-old skiing, and as you can imagine, in Switzerland, skiing is a major sport, or probably at that time it was the most popular sports by far. And I had my heroes. I watched them in TV, and I wanted to be like them. And then, I started actually as a 3-year-old and became relatively fast, good. So I became club champion several times, then regional champion. Then I went to the first kind of elite squad, and from this elite squad, like it was an easy life at the beginning, and then it became a little bit harder on the national level because Switzerland has a lot of good skiers, and I actually come from a so-called a flat area around Zurich, and very, very untypical that skiers from Zurich really are successful. So normally the skiers, the big name skiers or the stars in Switzerland, they're all coming from the mountains. Not anymore so much, but at that time, I was only the third skier from a town, like not in the mountain. Of course, we only had about half an hour to the next ski resort, which is very close. In America, probably you would say it's a mountain town, but it's not. It's in the flat area, so we had to drive up there. And I made my career through the national teams to the FIS championship. This is the Fédération Internationale du Ski, or the International Ski Federation, and then I came into the European Cup, won races, and then also became a vice champion as a junior in giant slalom in Sweden, and from there actually my career jump started, and but came quickly to an end after a couple of years because I had a lot of accidents. I was a bit famous for that, and that destroyed my knees actually, and finished my career in 1996. And just before I did that, I started my sports management company to represent me and my colleagues.
Okay, it's I've never skied in my life, and I was a runner in high school and college. And I was always afraid if I go down, you hear the stories you're talking about, like you with the accidents. I mean, you were great at it, but me, I always worried about like when I hurt my knee or my ankle. And unfortunately, I never did it when I was younger. And I guess, as you get older, you're just like, okay, I'm not going to get hurt. So a question about, I'm thinking, because I know in track and field, for running, you have, different teams and all, and you had the teams that you compete on. Is there kind of like a youth, for skiing, is there youth sports where are there teams that compete against each other in Switzerland, or is it more just individual?
There are in other sports, but skiing is an individual sport. So skiing is a very, very untypical sport. You somehow are an individual athlete, and you compete against other individual athletes. But on the other hand, you're a member of a ski club at the beginning, then you're a member of a elite squad, and later when you became famous or if you turn professional, you also member of a national team. We had at that time three different teams, A, B, and C team, and then you on the top you also member of a brand team. You have a skiing brand, and the skiing brand is delivering you the skis and the service people, and this is also kind of a club or a team which is very important to you. So you actually are in two teams in somehow, but you are also an individual athlete and try to beat all the other ones.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess in a sense, I mean, I know from running like cross country, for example, I mean, you have a team, but also you're competing individually too to try to win the races. Obviously, when you were growing up, did you always dream like, hey, I want to be a professional athlete?
Yes, very, very early, at a very early stage, I think I wanted to become a professional pilot, like a pilot. I was always like dreaming about like being a pilot. But I would say around 10, 12 years old, yeah, it was very, very clear for me that I want to become a professional athlete. And I also started working out differently, eating differently, and also had a lot of practice and not that many friends at that time, and had to go a very different way than other people in the school.
And that I think is a common theme because across all sports, you're practicing all the time, and I think in some cases, and especially I'm sure like with you being an elite athlete, that you kind of miss out on some things, and in your younger years, some of the things that maybe your friends are doing, and I can relate to some of that. I guess being in sports, there's so much practice and preparation and hard work. How do you think that sports impacted you? I guess kind of shaping your life in the early years, and then ultimately from a business perspective.
First of all, I think if you want to become a professional athlete or a great manager or a great business professional, you need the passion, in my opinion, and you cannot be steered by someone else or guided by someone else. Of course, you can take advice, but it has to come from your inner self. You need passion and a lot of will. And if you have that, I think then you learn the discipline, or you have it maybe, but you learn to work disciplined and also to manage your life very, very strictly, in a way that at the early stage you have to manage school and your sport, and then later you have to manage your family and your sport, or your family and your profession, and so on. I think you learn quite good to balance your life, but to be focused. And I think that's also another point which is very, very important. A lot of people, they have a lot of interests and they have a lot of ideas and a lot of projects on the table, but at the end you need to focus on something and then really, really, really go for that goal. And you need endurance as well. Endurance is a very important point, because I think every professional career in sport or in business is not going always straightforward. You always will have you will face some problems, and then you need endurance, and you need passion, and you need to absolutely believe and the will to go for it.
Right. No, that's great. And that seems to be a common theme. I mean, some of the other athletes we've talked about. One of the things that we're trying to do, and we've talked a little bit about, is that we feel there's a real need to help athletes and kind of guide them. I mean, it seems you hear a lot of stories about putting all that time in, and then when athletic careers are over, sometimes just not knowing what to do with themselves and what they can do. You hear different kinds of stories, and we've been trying to talk to different companies and people about how can we help athletes out. And so I guess kind of take us through, now you've retired and I know as a sports agent, sports manager, you work with these people. So what kinds of advice can you give people that other athletes like yourself, that once their career is over, that there is some things they can do, and maybe guide them on what they can do to find their passion, or whether it be in entrepreneurship or other areas?
I think a very important advice is, as an athlete, before it comes to an end, and there is the two different ends, it's one who is ending like planned, and the other one who is just like come as an unexpected ending. But I would say in general, you have to build your relationship and your network, because that's one of the biggest strengths you bring to a professional career, is that you know a lot of people and you have a strong network, and normally that's quite a good basic. And then also I think you should be humble. A lot of athletes, they have problems to see where they really stand in life in terms of a new profession. They come into situations where they think they deserve more chances or more action or whatever. And I think you have to realize that you have to restart a new career with the same will and passion, and also discipline, like you did for your sports career.
One of the we're trying to when we set up the structure of Alumni Direct, we look at setting up communities, and the communities might be, whether it be related to college and universities, whether it be business alumni association, athletes. And some of the stuff we're trying to do is, now that they've changed the ruling on, NCAA rules where athletes can actually promote themselves in school. Yeah. We want to create that platform for them where they can do that, because there just seems to be that affinity relationship, with alumni. But one of the other areas we're looking at is creating this athlete community center. And we've talked to some different sports agents on this, and a lot of them encourage the athletes to go on LinkedIn and try to form this network like you talked about. And I think what we're trying to create is an area where a private communities where they want to be together. So in your experience, both as an athlete and also a sports agent, so kind of part A, part B question, how do you see athletes working together across all sports, as far as that kind of that affinity, that alumni type spirit, working together and helping each other?
Very well, because I think athletes understand each other a lot better, and they do not have the feeling right away that somebody maybe wants to talk about their former career or likes to be a little bit in the limelight of this athlete and so on. I think athletes, they have a lot more direct contact, in my opinion, to each other, and they don't have to name drop or whatever. And I think they actually can help each other quite good. And from my point of view, I think athletes normally they have this kind of strong will to achieve something. If you really feel that for a person, then I think it's easier also to give them good guidelines or good advice, because you know that it will be well received. Right.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, even just the communication. That, I mean, being as a sports agent, and this is probably common practice too, to the athletes, let's say you represent X amount of athletes, do they all, because they're under kind of that umbrella, so to speak, of your agency and trying to help them out, do the people tend to, the different athletes under your belt, so to speak, tend to work together and help each other, since they kind of have that common bond of, your company as an agency?
Yeah, somehow, absolutely. Especially the team. I see it more with the team athletes. I mean, there's a little bit of difference between individual athletes and team athletes. But yeah, absolutely. They normally meet each other somehow, but that they're also athletes in areas where they have not much of contact. They know that he's also represented by us, but they actually don't know each other. It's very, very individual. Yeah. From
right. Okay, and that's what I think. Yeah, it's that relationship, like you said, for these people kind of working together.
But if I can add something here,
Sure.
I think inside the sport, if you just, it's quite interesting when you try to sign a young athlete and he's in a sport like hockey, for example, or tennis. They know each other quite well, or they know someone who knows me or knows the company or knows another athlete who is represented by us. So normally it's almost 100% the case that they call each other and try to figure out if this is really true, what they promise, or what kind of experience you made with this agent and with the company. So they have actually quite a good network under each other in these specific sports, and they know how to find someone where they can ask what they think about the agency or the specific agent.
Yeah, one thing that impressed me, I was just kind of talking about, or actually I wasn't talking to the agent, but there was an agent and kind of listening to her story that she shared. And what was impressive, and I'm sure you do this as well, was just taking the athlete, even like she talked about, like she represents football players, and she talks about how when in college and getting ready for draft, like she works with them and helps them to, get ready for the NFL combines and all that. But what she also does is when she takes them on, she doesn't only look at how they're going to perform in the sport itself, but to kind of mentor them and prepare here's your life in sports, but let's also look at your life cycle. Once you're out of it, what can we do to help you? And it was kind of interesting. And do you take that approach at all, where you're looking at, because again, you're working with athletes that are still playing, but do you also add that into when you're dealing with them?
Sure, absolutely. We try to do that as hard as we can, because we know that the career in some sports can be very, very short, and I think that's a very important aspect of it. Having said that, I also have to say that a lot of younger athletes, that they really don't want to listen to those kind of advices, because they are young, and for them it's like the whole world is in front of them. So a possible end of a career or problems or whatever are so far away for them. And I think that's also a little bit a normal thinking, and it's very normal that they think that way, and that helps them also to achieve the next goal. But you could see that in the middle of a career, or maybe in the back end of a career, you see that the people start thinking about that, and then they really are open for advice, and that they're open for a planning and open for new ideas. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, and it was interesting on another thing that's come up, and I'm sure, just based on when you were a professional skier, and in today's world with social media is just so much more out there, and just I guess it's probably more of a challenge to athletes or coaches and all that to kind of, they're in the limelight, and in the past they didn't have to worry about the social media, but now if you do something the wrong way or whatever, it's so pronounced. So some of the things I know we've talked to some athletes that are passionate about maybe even going into the colleges and talking to those athletes and just kind of guiding them based on their experience of, hey, here's some of the things to look out for in social media. Is that something that that you try to work with as well, having to deal with kind of the modern age of that?
Yeah, very much so, because it's also a big danger for the athletes. And I have to say, in some areas, a lot of athletes, they try to make themselves more important, and they also understand the value of it. They try to create more leads, that try to generate more value for themselves if they do so on the social media. But it's also a tough life on social media. You need to post every day, and you need to post something who is really of interest for your fans. And it's really, if you start it, you have to do it right. And we always try to explain that to athletes. And otherwise, just having an account and do something from time to time does not really help, but it can hurt you if you do the same, the wrong thing. So we had a lot of problems with social media lately, and have to solve it afterwards after they post something. So I think it's can be a big plus, but can also be a big minus. Yeah.
You're getting that midnight call. Dominik, help! we got to fix this thing here.
Yeah, normally we get it first from media people or sponsors. They see something before we see it, and then it's
that's
they go ballistic about it. And yeah, it's really a hot tool, but you have to know how to use it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what other kinds of things, like where can you see, I guess, platforms helping out athletes, kind of like what we're trying to do, like what kinds of areas do you think athletes could use help in, and companies like ours can find ways to do that? Because again, to me, it's about helping others. And so do you have any areas of I guess needs, so to speak?
It's difficult to say. I think it really depends on the athlete and which sport is he in. I mean, normally a lot of athletes I know, they come to an end with their career. I see that they have a strong interest in their own sport, become a coach, become a scout, become a manager or whatever. So I think it very depends on the sport and the interest he has. The most difficult thing is if somebody is not willing to continue any kind of a career inside the sport. He has the most knowledge, because the biggest value he can bring to the table is normally all his experience in his own sport. And if they are not willing to continue any kind of a career inside the sport, then I think it's going to be a bigger step into a completely other profession. And then I think it's the first thing they have to do. They need to know exactly what they like to do, and then they probably will find some people in these business areas, former athletes, and I'm pretty sure all those athletes, they're willing to give advice and help if they know there is some serious interest and he wants to change completely into another business.
Great. So now here comes the fun part. So this is where before I did that 30,000 foot view. So now this is where we get to throw some plugs in for Dominik and some of the exciting things that you're doing. And tell us a little more, I guess, a couple things that kind of open forum here, but talk a little bit about maybe the sports agency, talk about Panther National, which I think a lot of people will be excited to hear about. I know I went out on the site. I was excited. So tell us a little more about that and how they could find you.
Yeah, actually, we can actually go first to my sports agency, because that's where the whole story with Panther National also started. So we are one of the top agency in the professional world of golf. We represent many PGA Tour players, Europeans and Americans, and a lot of them, they're all living in the Palm Beach Gardens and Jupiter area, and that's also why we opened an office over there in the US as a European company. And I like to play golf myself, and I played a lot of golf on great golf courses in this area, all private clubs. And I always was really disappointed with the buildings and with the restaurants, like the whole golf clubs. They're so dated. It's you're coming back from a nice round of golf and great golf courses, and you're sitting in dark ballrooms, cannot get any healthy food, and sometimes even men and women are separated, cannot even have a drink together, because there's a men's locker room where they serve food, and there is another one for women. So I think for me, it was like, as a European, it was like a complete old world. And I think Florida becomes more and more modern. Maybe in the past, they had a lot of people after their professional career that came here into the warm weather and to the sun, and they like that kind of a concept. But I think now so many young people moving to Florida because of many reasons. And and I think they all traveled and they all like the modern architecture. They like the kind of modern quality of a lifestyle. And so I thought myself, very naive at the beginning, there must be a place for a new product in this market, like a modern kind of a version of a golf and country club, where you bring all the European aspects and the cool aspects of a modern kind of a lifestyle, modern architecture, healthy food into one concept, and try to do that. And at the very beginning, we started with a market research. We really tried to figure out if this is really only a gut feeling, or if this is really the truth. And then we found out there is a market for that, and we started a project around 5 years ago. Luckily we found a piece of land in the Palm Beach Gardens area, and then we started a project with some European investors. They were first a friend of mine, a business partner, and then we had a couple of former professional skiers, Olympic gold medal winners. They also put some money in, and then we found some two brothers in Germany are really big investors for us. And then we started actually the project, and since about a month we were building here the first gated private community in the United States, which is exciting. We found with Elon Musk Tesla Energy as a partner, so we do all the roofs with solar panels. We have power walls that you can recharge your car. Also, if a storm is coming, that you can actually have power by yourself in your home. We found a great architect in Miami, which designs beautiful homes, modern homes, and we also doing two different golf courses, a 9-hole one, an 18-hole one, and it's with a lot of wellness and sports activities, healthy food. We have not just restaurants, we have lounges and so on. It's a complete modern concept, and we're really looking forward to build this, and we are absolutely sure that we will be successful, because the pandemic helped us as well. So we have a huge request for homes now and for membership, and we did not even start selling any of those, so it will be exciting.
That sounds great. Now, are there like you mentioned, there's a lot of professional golfers. I mean, is that something that you would see where, possibly professional golfers be in that community, or think it's more of a community of people just that are avid golfers, or kind of a combination?
No, absolutely. I think a lot of my players will actually become a member of the community. We also have a big announcement next month with a big young star golfer who is designing together with Jack Nicklaus the golf course, and he already has been started. So it's a really exciting story, and I think a lot of other professionals from other sports, hockey players, baseball players, football players, already told us their interest. So I think we will really be the community for active younger families, and also a lot of athletes.
That's great. It sounds exciting, and now, of course, we'll be on the edge of our seats. Hey, let's hear what this announcement's coming now. This special golfer's be doing that. So I'll be looking out for it. I'll be putting that call to Dominik about a month from now, saying, okay, let's hear it.
We will announce that on the 22nd of February. Yeah.
Okay, great. That's all. And you said it's interesting how long these projects take. So you said it was it's been 5 years to this point, and then how much longer before? I think you mentioned to me about the golf course opening next year around this time. What about the houses?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we will maybe the 9-hole courses maybe open around November, December this year, and then at the beginning of next year we will probably open the 18-hole golf course. It depends how good we can build the golf course, how quickly we can build, because there's a huge demand also in golf at the moment. It's difficult to get grass, it's difficult to get a lot of other materials, because the supply chain is really tough at the moment in all kind of areas. Yeah.
Right. No, that's interesting. So, and then what to find you, I guess, it's panthernational.com. Is that the website?
Yes, absolutely. Panthernational.com. You can, we have a holding page so far, so you can find out a little bit of what the project is. Yes.
That's great. That's awesome. Well, we really appreciate your time. I think this has been great. And, at Alumni Direct, you can find us at alumnidirect.com. And as I mentioned, we're looking to put together shows and content like this to help alumni everywhere, whether it's athletes or as I mentioned, college student fraternities, sororities. And we look forward to seeing you all soon. So thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. And it's a great idea. I love the show.
Oh, thank you so much.